And welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and the lying corporate media. I'm Jake, and we're broadcasting today from Roseville, Minnesota, in the heart of the beast. We've got so much to talk about. Hunter Biden's plea deal, which is really interesting, broke down in front of the court chamber yesterday. The Fed increases rates. Now, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. We're going to get into that. You're going to hear something here that you won't hear anywhere else. But how do we not talk about aliens, right? We have to talk about aliens because that's what they want us talking about. We're going to get into this conspiracy, which is really crazy, and I honestly don't know what's going to come out of this, honestly. And I see Tucker's like, please keep the alien talk to a minimum. It's just a distraction from the lying Bidens. I kind of agree with you, Tucker, but there's some things that were revealed yesterday you gotta pay attention to, or do they want us to pay attention? I don't know. Joining me to talk about this is half of the political junkies, Mr. William Beck, straight-laced himself. Some call him the blonde Matt Walsh. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. I'm sad that Jesse's not here today. It feels like the political junkies just aren't at full snuff today.
Yeah, I think you will be up at full snuff because in your hand is your best buddy.
Oh, yeah. We're sponsored by Monster Energy Drinks.
That's not...
We're not.
No. I'm not sure you can say that. We are sponsored by Warren Wessel of Warren Wessel Realty. Special guest in place of MAGA Jesse. How you doing there?
Good. How you doing, Jake?
Not too bad. Tell people who you are and why you're here.
Well, I've been a residential real estate agent since 1988. Jake can attest. I did a good job
I can't
for him.
attest to that. I was 6 years old, but okay, I'll attest to it at 88.
Well, I worked with Jake shortly after 1988. But anyway, I'm currently with Keller Williams Premier Realty. My best ranking ever for a year, I was number 13 in sales. For the whole state of Minnesota one year.
Was that the year that you sold my home? And
I think it was. I think it was because that mansion I sold, and then the bigger mansion
the
you
mansion,
bought.
Yeah, that's called a 2006 mistake with a buddy, right?
Yeah, you came out okay though.
You were so good. You sold that thing in like 4 days, and you came to the hospital because remember, Camden was being Camden, Condon was being born
Ace.
that day. Yeah, Ace. Yeah. You're a good real estate agent for sure, and a patriot. Look at his shirt. See?
Yeah.
See, he's really filling Mega Jesse's role. That's exactly what Jesse would.
That's
we
true.
should give him the hat.
That is true.
You got a Let's Go.
Do you want a
Brandon
MAGA
hat
hat?
too?
Actually, in this show, we should give him the tinfoil hat.
I got the USA hat.
That's perfect.
That is
That's
good.
perfect.
But yeah, I've known Jake since back in the day, the Tea Party days, and I always tell people I voted for Barry Goldwater when I was in kindergarten, and I've only become more conservative since then.
I was about to do some math. I was like, what? Barry Goldwater, how old are you?
Yes, I am old, but I'm part of the. Can I mention another?
Yeah.
Glenn Beck's Real Estate Agents
Yeah,
I Trust. And actually, Glenn talked about me on what was it, June 29th in the first hour.
That humble brag. Yeah, but now you got us talking about
But yeah, now I
Warren.
stepped up to the A-team here.
All right, well, you had no idea what we were going to talk about today, and you would think we bring a special guest to talk about aliens, but no, we brought Warren Wessel. And we have a friend that probably knows more about aliens and lizard people, right? We're not going to mention her name, but if she's watching, she knows. Reading your comments at home, let us know where you're watching from, is Bridget. How you doing, Bridget?
I'm doing fabulous. And Base Minnesota said this dude has more plugs than Joe Biden's head. Might as well.
All right. If we get interrupted at any point today and the stream goes down, you'll know exactly who's behind that. It's Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson. He runs the dials for us. He might not like the topic we're talking about because the Deep State's against this being revealed, right? Can't know about these aliens.
We're the forefront. We're the front fighters of the thing, or they are.
Yeah, we should bring up the James Clapper thing too. That's
sure.
That's
a
crazy one.
That is
We'll get to
interesting. Yeah.
All right, where do we start here? Okay. I mean, we got Tucker. I hear you. Okay, got important stuff to talk about. The Fed increasing interest rates. I'd love to get your perspective. You sell homes for a living, and interest rates. It's like bonds and home prices are inverse to the interest rates. Interest rates go up. Generally speaking, the prices go down. It hasn't happened because of low inventory here in the housing market, but if there's more inventory, that's exactly what's gonna happen. So we're being told by the mainstream media we have congressional hearings, and I'm a little scared because the congressional hearings, and this is gonna sound really weird, aren't partisan anymore. All of a sudden, they're all coming together. You guys, you haven't watched the hearings yet, have you?
I have.
You have, okay. At home, if you guys watch it, but did you notice this, William? The hearings, they're like all come together. Oh, the esteemed colleague, Miss Paulina, like Democrats saying that, and we want to thank the ranking. They're really kind to each other, and that's rare in Washington these days.
And the fact that the media is covering this story is weird too.
And
So
James
all
Clapper's
of
in the front row. That's even weird. No, I'm kidding.
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So they have a hearing yesterday on. They call them UAPs. We're just going to call them UFOs. Stop using their language. Unidentified flying objects. We know about some of these things. The Tic Tac incident off the West Coast. Ryan Graves seeing these things high altitude, way too fast off the East Coast. There's so many stories coming out of it. But this is the first time we had somebody testifying in front of Congress under oath, meaning if he's lying, that's perjury and could go to prison, saying that we've recovered aircraft with, basically, he used the term biologics, but alluding to the fact that we've recovered aliens. What?
Non-human.
Not,
Yeah, that's what he said. He said specifically non-human biologics.
Let's jump to that real quick. The Nancy Mace questions. Dawson, pull up that one. Warren, you can put on those headphones right there if you want to listen into this. This is a news report out of South Carolina. Nancy Mace was asking questions. That's Paulina, not that one. Sorry, I did this a little out of order. That should be it. This is Nancy Mace asking questions about an aircraft that was recovered, and this is this gentleman, was it Grush? He was a military intelligence officer in the Air Force. I think he was a major. So let's go ahead and listen to this.
Breaking news out of Washington, D.C. A House Oversight Subcommittee on National Security conducted its hearing today on UFOs.
3 former members of the military intelligence community testified, including a former Air Force intelligence officer who answered questions from South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
In efforts to cover up.
Retired
right,
Air
so-
Force
I mean, we've got biologics. What the hell does that mean? A hair sample? Like, biologics. Why don't you say there's a body recovered or something like that? What the hell is the biologics could mean anything. Now I know you're not a biologist, Warren. When you hear biologics, what do you think?
Yeah, I think of, I don't know, equivalent DNA or something like that.
Could be anything from that all to an alien body, right?
Right.
But it was implied that it was a pilot.
But
And then he was
this
like-
tricky way. Now, if we're getting conspiratorial,
Right.
these are actors or these are people that were set up by the government to tell us something so that we're steering our attention towards this and not paying attention to something that's over there. I don't know if it's the Hunter Biden story or the plea deal because I don't think that's big enough for them, but that is an interesting thing. We'll get to that in a second. I'm sure you guys know that at this point. Hunter Biden, by the way, his whole plea deal fell real short yesterday. So now we did a Twitter poll and we asked our audience here.
Did you pull that up?
I could pull that. I didn't have Dawson prepared on that one, but if you go to action_liberty, that's our Twitter handle. The poll is: now that the plea deal broke down, what is the chance Hunter Biden goes to prison from the crimes he's being charged for? So 3.8% of our audience said there's a 100% chance he goes to prison. 3.8% said it's 50-50. 26.9% said there's a slim chance he goes to prison. And winning our poll with 65.4% said it's about a Viking Super Bowl chance there that he goes to prison. So looks like it's 0 to 1. Not likely going to happen.
Not likely.
Which I kind of agree with, honestly. It's kind of scary. You know, I think this might have been just a little show here yesterday, but it was a Trump-appointed judge. So it's like, what are they trying to? Yeah, dog and pony show says quest for truth. That's what it is. I mean, it's like, are we just taking these guys for what? They're saying, like,
if that's the case, they've been ramping this up for a while. Like, I think that's what the balloon talk was all about, like, a couple months ago, I think. So they've been slowly preparing people for this. If it is a show, it's just like, what are they trying to cover up?
Well, and that's the other thing is, like, if this isn't a show and this is, like, all legit and we got to take these guys for what they're saying, which maybe you can, then it's like the story is much worse because the government's really covering things up. Now, we talked about this, how Trump is being indicted right now for, basically mishandling classified information. Well, apparently, a lot of the talk, the good stuff, like, is this a green little man? Nancy Mace wants to find out more stuff, and he's like, I got to go to a SCIF to talk to you about. SCIF is basically a secure environment where you can talk about classified information. Well, Paulina Luna, representative out of 13th District in Florida, said that they were not allowed to set up a SCIF to get his testimony. Let's go to the first video, the one you initially had lined up there, Dawson. This is Paulina Luna talking about how, and I don't know who she's referring to here, some congressional staff, someone in the Defense Department, not allowing them to set up a SCIF to learn about this.
Who have always been sent to stonewall our investigations. Just so that the press knows and the people know, we were even denied access to a classified briefing in a SCIF prior to this hearing due to the amount of hoops that we had to jump through to grant temporary clearance to witness Grush, who has knowledge of classified information. It is time to have an open-minded discussion on this topic, to hear the evidence and understand the magnitude of what this means, not just for our nation, but for humanity. Thank you, Chairman. I yield back the rest
All
of my
right,
time.
so there you go. So now let's just imagine that this is actual, it's not a psyop by the government. They're not trying to steer us away, a diversion technique. What these guys are saying is true and accurate. I mean, and we know there's a deep state. I mean, we're breaking in the new here. We know there's a deep state here. But why are these guys, Dawson, I'm not looking at you. I get it. You're part of the deep state, but it's much bigger than you. Why are they not allowing congressmen who have all the clearances to understand what's going on here? This is the big scary thing, is we got a deep state running our government. And one witness eventually says that there's basically things happening over congressional oversight. How can you be over congressional oversight? Like, that is not a republic anymore. That's not a democracy, as the Democrats say. That's really bad. If that's happening, you can't have congressional oversight because Congress is representing the people and the government is made up of the people, or it's supposed to be that way. They answer to us. So who's hiding information from us? Now, we know this happens because we obviously know about things like Jeffrey Epstein. Just pass me that tip while I had here. I'm going to get paid. But one of these two things, in my opinion, is happening is either this is some kind of diversion technique because they don't want us to pay attention. I don't know, Ukrainian war, something else. Or we are really learning how corrupt and bad our government is. And that's been alleged for years. We know about all the movies, documentaries that are made on this stuff. But what is the grave danger to the United States of learning about UFOs' existence? Because that's what classified information is. It means it causes grave danger to the United States of America. Well, what is that? How can this be classified? How can we not know about it? And how can a congressman not know about this? That's my big question. By the way, if you like the show, make sure you like us on Rumble. Do you have that nice new graphic you created there, Dawson? There you go. Like us on Rumble right there. Hit the like button. That helps more people see this great content.
I've never seen you do such a hard pivot like that.
That was really hard pivot.
You were in the middle of a rant.
Because I see myself going these dark places right now. Our mutual friend, I was almost there with her. Makes me want to go get a beer this afternoon, Warren, with you, and go chat with her. Because honestly, I don't want to tell people who it is, because I just feel like
No, I understand.
All I can say is it makes going there and having a beer with her makes it some of the most fun conversation ever. And I tell that to her face. I go, you're batshit crazy in some of these things, but damn, are you fun to talk to?
Base Minnesota says, can we start to actually say who the deep state is?
The deep state is definitely this bureaucracy. So let's just take it for what it's worth here. If these guys are telling the truth, and this is under congressional testimony, okay? So meaning if they're lying and they can be proven, they're going to prison. So if they're telling the truth, and there are entities, and I don't know what the entities are here. I'm assuming it's CIA. I'm assuming it's the Defense Department. But they're interfering with Congress, knowing and having oversight of this stuff. That's the deep state. Now, I think we kind of know that the CIA has its own off-budget, right? You know, like it's not part of the overall budget. They have this, well, isn't it known that they sell drugs to fund this budget? Isn't that known? Is this
I thought they did fundraisers, you know,
Yeah,
like
bake
bake
sales.
sales and stuff. Yeah.
This is known, right? I'm not like coming up with some conspiracy or reiterating. I'm pretty sure we know that the CIA has made money off of arms sales and.
Well, didn't $2 trillion go missing the day before 9/11?
Well, now I don't know about that story.
Oh, surely you've heard this one. Have you heard this one more?
I haven't heard that. And stop calling me shit.
Well, now we should. Well, now we need to fact check this, or maybe someone in the comments can fact check.
I think we're Dave just wrote.
I could have sworn this is a thing.
Let's bring the audience in this. Bridget, what do we got here?
Nothing on Williams' claim right there.
No, I just mean let's bring them into the conversation. I see a lot of
let's see.
comments out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, so Quest for Truth says they'll blame aliens for the internet going down when it happens. Beth Moy says, good point. Napkin Nader 79 says Sam Bankman fraud got off today, so I'm sure Hunter will.
Did that really happen today?
I guess.
That'll go into
Base Minnesota says you're correct, William.
Yeah, so I was slightly wrong. So PolitiFact says this is false, but they do have the story. The day before 9/11, the Pentagon reported $2.3 trillion missing. Now, PolitiFact reports it false, but it is
$300 billion off.
Slightly.
How dare you?
How dare I?
You
DOJ will not
underestimated
pursue
it.
campaign finance charge against Sam Bankman-Fried.
What happened? Did he get off?
Well, he got off. It looks like on CF or on a campaign finance charge, but that's one of many things.
Tucker says Mitch McConnell's a lizard.
Oh,
and then he says, I don't think Mitch had a
we should
stroke.
We should show that video.
If Mitch McConnell's a lizard, did it just get too cold for him yesterday? Because that's not true.
Well, so I've seen people talking about this. They think he had a stroke, like a little mini stroke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Well,
I just saying he was a lizard person, that the technology wasn't working. It froze up.
Yeah, no, Tucker says he spotted a fly to eat. So he's focused.
Couldn't take his eyes off of it, huh?
That's a good one.
And normally I wouldn't want to make fun of someone who has an obvious medical condition, but at the same time, this guy is like a real crony politician who's been in D.C. forever. Like,
I always thought he was a turtle, not a lizard.
Turtle, tortoise, something like that.
I mean, whether it's a health issue or he's just really old because he's like in his 80s. Like, look at the people we got running our government.
I know.
Biden. Yeah. I mean, what are we doing here? Biden, Feinstein doesn't even know where she is. And she's in her 90s, actually.
Yep.
The turtle, McConnell. And then Fetterman's not that old, but I mean, look at his mental state. What are we, like, seriously, what are we doing here, guys?
Well, there's a lot of polls going around about should we cap 75 as how old you can be and still be involved in government?
Oh, nice. So Trump just doesn't make it. That's why. That's the anti-Trump one. Well, yeah, Trump doesn't seem to be. He's slowed down a little bit, but
comparatively, it's unbelievable.
Well, I think you got to get around that. I think you got to do a cognitive test. Right. So test how to make sure
this goes back to what we've talked about a lot of times. Who's running the test? What's on the test? We don't know what's on the test.
Who determines the results?
Let's get back on the topic. If you want a comment for sure being read and disrupt us, make sure you do a Rumble rant, $10 or more. Definitely interrupts us. We'll go right to your comment. What do we got there?
A lot of people are talking
Satan
about.
Blog post?
Well, I think it's just a link, but people are talking about Catherine Austin Fitz. $21 trillion, says Billy 22, missing according to Catherine Austin Fitz. Most from the defense budget in the interest on our national debt has now met or exceeded our annual defense budget around $920 billion.
Yeah, I could. Let's bring that topic back up when we get into the Fed. All right, let's get back to this topic. Once again, you can interrupt us with a Rumble rant. Otherwise, we got to get to the bottom of this alien story. I mean, if I just took a poll of you guys, what's going on? Diversion. Let's go diversion. Showing the government corruptness or it's something else. What do you say, William?
I hate that you started with me because I don't know.
Bridget, what do you say?
I say diversion. That's what I would
say,
always
Warren?
come to.
Diversion.
What's that?
Diversion.
Diversion? What do
Yeah.
you say?
It's all
So-
GSI.
Before yesterday, I would have said diversion, but like some of this testimony is real weird, and people have been making a lot of good points about it. Now, it very well could be a diversion. I think that's the likely option, but like, it would be interesting to entertain the idea that there is something else out there.
Okay, if it's not diversion, let's go to this third video we got for you. This is actually showing that there's...
Wait, Jake, what do you think it is?
I don't know. Too bad I'm the host.
No vote.
Quest for
I don't know if I want it. I don't know what it is.
says diversion and it's working because you're talking about it.
Is that?
But we're talking about it in a way that's exposing them. So
Yes.
Exposing
Yes.
diversion.
How dare you? Don't read their comments. He's got a rumble rant that. That's not fair. Don't let him interrupt with that. Quest, actually, I'm assuming gender there. I don't know. Quest for truth?
Is that Mark? No.
I don't know. Oh,
Mark?
maybe.
Wouldn't that be funny if that was Mark? I don't think it's Mark.
No, I don't think it is.
Well, don't let Mark interrupt us then. All right, let's play that third video because if this is true,
It is Mark.
it's Mark.
I'm awesome.
Oh, it's so funny. We know it's you. Let me guess. He weighed in on the 9 trillion missing. Oh man. Mark's got a great guest coming up, by the way, on the
Quest for Truth.
It literally is the Quest for Truth.
Truth
Oh,
Expedition. That's what it
Oh
is.
my
Yep.
gosh, you guys! It's coming out of our studio.
All right, now watch this. This is about basically two things here. The government's actually harmed individuals, that basically want to reveal this stuff, and apparently the aliens have too. This is how crazy this is. I'm just showing you what's happening in Congress. Go ahead, play this video.
There has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured. And the activity, and I got
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here, because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed, myself and my wife, was very disturbing.
But I'd like to tell you that, but we don't have a skiff today.
Well,
All right, diversion technique still. You guys still going with diversion? What are you thinking? What?
I mean, I
yeah.
think so.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
funny if this guy was just like making it all up. He's just leaving enough to like get us guessing, but he's really just off the fly. Like, yeah, it's disturbing. I can't say more.
That's exactly what
But
it
it's
sounds
disturbing.
like to me. It's like he's giving you just enough
Like
for
he's
you to want
BSing
to
a
keep
test or
paying
something.
attention to him, but that's it.
Intentionally
Yeah,
vague.
but see, Dawson, I don't take your opinion on this with
That's
any weight
valid.
because obviously we know you deep state people have a narrative, and so I just got to take that with a big grain
should
of
get
salt.
Dawson to testify here. See what he
Well,
knows about aliens.
I plead the fifth. I
It's
guess.
disturbing.
Well, how can you
Well, hold
believe?
on, hold on. Dawson couldn't possibly know about aliens because you would have to go outside at night, and he's gaming all night, so I don't think he's seen
That's
the
what he
night
I
tells
like
sky.
how
us.
Jake is saying
That's what he
this,
tells
but like
us.
I am getting the most color this summer than any of y'all.
Yeah, but you don't get
I-
color at night. That's what I'm saying is,
Right, so at night I'm getting more color from my computer screen.
Oh,
Gosh.
what were you say, Warren?
Well, I was just say, how can you believe anything anymore?
I know.
I
Yeah.
mean, the coronavirus came from a wet market.
A wet market, yeah,
and the
bats.
vaccine's perfect. And if you get a shot, which I never did, you won't get it. And they just lie. I
Wait,
mean,
you didn't get a shot, don't you?
I
Aren't you
didn't-
worried
I
you'd kill
didn't get the
grandma?
jab.
You're gonna kill
my
grandma.
grandma died a long
How dare
time
you?
ago.
So dangerous. Well, not your grandma. I'm talking about other grandmas. You were killing grandmas. Unbelievable.
How'd it work for Colin Powell?
Is that are they alleging that?
Well, I mean, he
You know,
got the vaccine.
Quest for Truth pretty much thinks everybody who dies nowadays is dying from the
He's
vaccine.
from the vaccine.
Then Mark goes,
He's probably right about
I don't know. I'm just asking
lot
the
of 'em.
question. Which, by the way, I sometimes think he's about 70% correct.
Oh, I think so too.
I know. That's the crazy thing.
Well,
He's
have you seen-
Elon Musk just did this with LeBron's kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the Cleveland Clinic study that showed the more shots you got, the better chance you have of getting it?
No, I don't think I did, or I just forgot.
Yeah,
about
it came out about a month and a half ago. It was Cleveland Clinic. They studied their own
How did I
employees.
miss that? You're saying it was not all over the news? That's funded by pharma, big pharma. I am shocked by that one. Diversion, Debbie says. Yeah, I really do think I'm leaning more to the diversion. But if it's not diversion, we got a real problem here. A corrupt government killing or injuring people.
You guys saw that
I
Stone
thought you were
Top-
about to give us a hot take. So I know you're
No,
wearing
no, I'm
shorts today
saving-
because you are ready for these hot takes.
I'm ready for the hot takes.
I went home that night. I couldn't cool down, man. I'm telling you what.
Jake
show
wouldn't
that.
leave me alone about all my hot takes. Like at 9:30 at night, he's like, "Guys, I don't." He's texting our group chat, "Guys, I don't feel so good."
Yeah.
I
He's literally like, I feel like I'm burning up, and I was like, menopause? No. He's
I'm like, "Do you
probably
need
actually
to?" We're all
injured.
concerned. He's like, "Do you need to go to the doctor tomorrow? Are you gonna be able to come in?" He's like, "I think it's all of William's hot takes from today."
Did you read that after the fact, Bridget?
No, I actually read it when you first texted, and I honestly actually assumed where you were going already with it.
You
Oh,
did?
really?
You
I actually
you were
did.
on to me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Why
I
didn't
was
you
like,
pipe
Bridget
in?
and I got a connection.
I don't know. I just
What's
left
that?
it and let you guys talk.
I asked why Bridget didn't speak up about it because I was like actually worried.
I was concerned.
I was gonna
Well,
say
yeah.
something stupid, but I was like, whatever.
fair point. Why weren't you asked? Where were you? Well, you know
I
I was
just
joking.
didn't
Where
care
were
to.
you guys on Concern? Or you watched it after the fact?
I actually
They
did
were
read
yeah, 'cause
after
you
the
went to your
fact
fifth movie of the week.
because I went to see Oppenheimer. It was very good.
Was it?
It was good. You should see it if you haven't.
By the way,
Absolutely.
we will
We can't
put out
talk
a
about
Barbie
movies.
review tomorrow.
Yes, Jake. We convinced Jake. Sorry,
Yes,
Tucker.
Tucker, you're not obligated. You're not obligated to watch this thing.
You're
gonna
going
be
to it,
great.
Jake?
He already
No,
did,
Kirsten.
Oh, Kirsten,
Yeah,
well.
yeah, Kirsten.
Blame it on the wife. I'm one to talk, so I.
Well, actually, I don't want to get ahead of it. You'll have to see what I think about
yeah.
it tomorrow.
Yep. Fair
okay?
enough. Fair enough.
I was pretty concerned. I was like, Jake's getting old. There's like who knows what bodily functions start shutting down. I was worried.
He was genuinely worried. I was just you guys weren't worried, but I guess you were in a movie.
We've gone off on a long tangent. You guys saw the Stone Toss comic I sent you
No.
about. Are you able to pull that up real quick? It's in the
If you
signal.
give me like 2 minutes.
I love how we're
Okay.
getting off topic on aliens.
Well,
off
no.
topic of Biden and the Fed increasing rates.
Well, because you brought up the vaccines, that's a great point because this is the same government that has been saying that the vaccine is safe and effective.
Yes.
And now they're saying aliens are real, and it's like, I don't. Why should I trust you? You have.
But the difference is that came through an official channel. This is not coming through an official channel. So they're
But
like trying to
it's-
Or is
stonewall the
Or is
revelation.
Or is
here.
it?
What's
Yeah.
that?
Or is it?
Okay, but that wouldn't be an official channel. It'd be an unofficial dark channel that they're doing it through their diversion technique.
Right.
And it really, I really don't know on this one. We did pull up the last video, so let's see. We got the 3 videos, Mace questions.
Is this comic worth it?
What?
Is this comic funny enough?
What comic? You got to? Oh, you
Oh,
got
the one I sent before the show.
Yeah.
how certain are you that I saw this?
You laugh reacted, or someone laugh
Did I
reacted.
laugh
to it.
react?
I think you did. It must have been funny if you laughed.
Yeah,
reacted.
Jake
you have
laugh
it?
reacted.
Jake reacts laughing to it without knowing what it is. Without
Guys, I
reading
process
it?
a lot of information these days, like aliens and.
The joke just went over his head, but he wanted to be cool, so he liked.
I didn't quite
Are
understand
you gonna pull
but
it
I
up?
also didn't
I want to
react.
look at this thing.
I'm working on
And
it.
you called it a comic? It's not a meme?
Well, like it's a meme, but like
Oh, I know what
he
you're
does.
talking about.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. I thought that was Tony that sent that for some reason. So
Oh,
you
no.
sent that. Okay,
Uh-oh.
gotcha.
William was Tony posting. That's not good.
Or did I get? I could have got it from more than one person. There are literally relationships I have with people. For instance, my neighbor, good guy, good patriot, also was in the Air Force as a pilot for 30-some years. I've asked him what he saw, because when I saw my UFO, I asked him like what this is, and he was puzzled.
Mhm.
By the way, I'm pretty certain what I saw was a SpaceX launch, but it's a really cool image. Really cool story behind it. I'll have to tell you off air, Warren.
There you
The
go.
vaccine is safe, and the aliens are real. So I remember, honestly, in COVID, in 2020, going for a walk with Kirsten and the kids. Because, that's what we did. We got out all the time. That was the beauty of the start of COVID was because it happened. It happened in March, and then eventually May it warms up, and I started seeing neighbors I never saw before, right? People actually went outside. So we'd go on these walks all the time, right? And I remember I had just listened to Joe Rogan's podcast, because I want to say this was right when he had the interview with Bob Lazar, who was back in the 80s. Bob Lazar came out saying that the government had recovered aircraft, and they know it comes from outside this world, and that basically I think they have bodies of aliens. And so he ends up, long story short, if you don't know about Bob Lazar, go listen to the Joe Rogan episode on it. It's a fascinating thing. If what he's saying is true, and basically yesterday's congressional testimony says it's true, if you believe that, then they've known about this since the 80s. It's been revealed. George Knapp out of Las Vegas covered the story. Rogan's had him on many times. Anyhow, I remember walking, and the world's already crazy to us because we're in a global pandemic, and supposedly billions of people are going to die, right? So we're walking along, and then I'm like, wait a second. This guy sounds great. He's on Joe Rogan, and he's talking about aliens. I'm like, what is it? I don't even know what I believe anymore, right? Like, you start questioning everything. And then the year rolls around, and you just see all the lies by them. So that's why I like that comic so much, because it's kind of like, yeah, they lied to us about so much. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think maybe that's what's going on again here, right?
Yeah. Dave from Minnesota says, Dawson, go on YouTube and type in Reagan UFO speech. The 43-second clip will settle this once and for all.
43-second clip?
Yeah.
See, Dawson was just happy to ignore the comment until Bridget read it.
I'm intrigued by it.
This. Yeah.
Apparently, it's a lot of work to put
Apparently, it's their show now. So
yeah. Warren, you were in your 40s during the 80s. What was that like?
Actually, I was not.
You had to do the math.
Yeah, I did.
Well, that means you're not too old, because we know Brandon can't do math in his head anymore.
Well, as a former math teacher, I should be able to.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, you taught back then.
No, I was 29 when I started in real estate.
There you go.
So I've been in real estate in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and now 60s.
There you go. So you're gonna hit the big 4-0 into this decade, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear Reagan.
I don't. What is it?
43 seconds. Who said
there's
this?
a 55 second.
This one's 55.
Oh, we should do the Ancient Aliens from the History Channel.
Is it? What did they say?
Your base Minnesota needs to help us out.
They should throw a link in.
So you gotta help us out here. We want to know.
Oh, did I? Sorry, I typed in Nixon UFO.
Reagan.
Isn't that interesting that Reagan came up?
I don't know my presidents.
There it is.
There we go.
In our obsession with
Sorry, everybody. Gosh dang.
antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
I don't know if that's alien at all. That's pretty much been humans.
So he makes a good point, though. He makes a good point, and maybe this is what the deep state, the global elites want to happen. They want to fabricate this alien threat so that they can create this new world government to deal with the alien threat.
So it's
very far out there.
So
but
that's the third. Well, that's not the diversion. So that's so it's basically
it's a new power grab,
a conspiracy. Who was saying that?
We have the Patriot Carl Nelson here with her take. She said, I think the world elites have been trying so hard for us to be in a state of emergency, for us to need them. World climate change, not aliens, what other way than something that threatens the earth?
You know, in the great movie Independence Day?
Yeah, the documentary.
Yep. I feel like they listen to that Reagan one because all the powers around the world came together on that one. You know, we didn't hate everyone in the Middle East and China and Russia. We all had to get along to stop the invasion.
Reagan said Among Us. That's what I got from it.
Among Us?
Among Us.
Now Jake said
No, I can't hear you. What did you say?
That's exactly what I said. This is Zoomer humor, so.
Zoomer humor.
Among Us.
I'm also distracting you guys from the truth.
But there's no attempt for a global
truth hurts,
overlords,
Dawson.
WEF, you know.
Yeah, nothing like that. That's not going on. Yeah, so that could be it. This is another thing to scare. Oh, I know who I was talking to. Yeah, okay. I was talking on the phone with somebody like no more than an hour ago saying that's probably what this is. It's just another thing to scare us all into something new. And maybe that's it. Global government. So let's do the poll again. Is it diversion? Is it corrupt government that we're learning about really hiding aliens? Or is it a conspiracy for some global government? What do you say there, Bridget?
Diversion.
Diversion?
Still
Diversion, Warren?
Yep, all day.
I think I've talked myself into diversion at this point.
And the host?
Yeah.
I don't know on this one.
So I took a stance. You
I'm
need
like
to take a stance too.
I'm like 50-50 on it being diversion, real or conspiracy.
I think that the odds of there being aliens are lower than the odds that the government would want to divert us from something.
Once again, we don't care about his opinion. And by the way, you didn't get my my math humor there? 50-50 on 3 different things?
I did. I was wondering. Yeah.
Base Minnesota is like fully believed it will be used for New World Order, global government.
But you went to school.
Why not some other emergency than aliens, though? It seems kind of a
But hold
dumb
on.
one.
If it was used to scare us, then they're actually going to have to reveal.
Yeah. Otherwise,
I mean, don't tell me they're going to literally fake. Look, here's real government evidence a spacecraft is coming into our
If this
atmosphere.
were a movie, this would be like the setup, like the setup of the plot. You know what I mean? Like the congressional testimony, these weird balloons that they're like, oh, we have no explanation. You know what I mean?
We're in the rising action right now.
We're in the That's what the word I was looking for. Rising action.
Maybe we're in the Matrix. Actually, none of this is real. And all this is just being pre-orchestrated. All right, new poll. Is it a Matrix? No, I'm kidding. I actually don't know where I'm on this one.
You're 50%.
So listen, I listened to Commander Fravor. So we showed you Garouche. What's his name? David Garouche or something like that. Yeah, Garouche. But the other 2 men, Graves and Commander Fravor, these are like legit pilots, naval pilots, saying that they witnessed stuff. In Commander Fravor's case, many other pilots that flew that day and people on the boat that were experiencing on the radar didn't know what they were seeing. Which doesn't mean that this is all connected. That could literally be some kind of test run of some technology we have, and it's so compartmentalized, a lot of our government doesn't know about it. But if this is a big plot to like actually take over and do one world government, the threat, now that I think about it, they fooled a lot of us on COVID, didn't they? We kind of believed them that it was going to be as bad as it was, and it wasn't.
Russian collusion.
So the virus is so microscopic it scares us. How could they pull this one off, though? That's the question. Because eventually we're going to be like, wait, I don't see any spacecraft up in the air. I don't see any, like, laser beams destroying cities. I don't believe these guys.
Well, most of everything that we get about aliens is from movies. Aliens probably don't shoot lasers at planets and stuff. They're probably just floating around like we are. So.
What do you know, Dawson? What do you know?
I know that movies are like 99% of where people get stuff about zombies, aliens, monsters in general. They're probably way less boring, just like everything in or outside of movies is.
Mm-hmm.
But like the movies around aliens have been based on like supposedly based on what people have seen in like the 1950s. It's like based on urban legend and folklore and stuff like that.
When I think of alien movies, I think of Aliens or like Independence Day or like the horror ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good example of one of those old alien movies.
That's based
from
on
like the
folklore?
60s.
Yeah, what is that? What's a popular one back then, Warren?
We only got one channel, and
I'm used to being the old man on the show, so now it's like.
what was?
Why am I not
did they make a
thinking of it?
War of the Worlds back then?
No, not War of the Worlds. What
that
is
was just an audio thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was
help us out at home.
one.
What was the famous one in the 60s? It looked ridiculous.
I mean, am I completely off base here? Like, there is like this preconception of aliens that like comes from urban legend, right?
Well, so the idea is they're small-bodied,
right,
big head.
But why? because movies have
you would
told
think
us
about
that.
it. If there's such an advanced organism, they would have high computing power. It doesn't mean that brain size 100% relates to the brain function or intelligence, but it generally does, I think. I'm not a biologist. So, or at least in relation to the rest of the body, because like an elephant's brain would be really massive, but related to the rest of the body, it's not. So they would have high computing ability, big brains, and because they have big brains, they have less need for muscles, right?
Maybe
Because,
they
you know,
don't-
quite frankly, if you believe in the evolution of humans coming from apes, right? Not saying I'm hold to that one, but what apes are massively stronger than us, but don't have the computing powers. So we are not in need because we can develop tools. So we don't have that need for that raw strength. So it'd be like the same idea with an alien is they got huge computing ability. They don't need the body. And plus, if you're going to fly in a small spacecraft, you wouldn't want a big body, right?
But wouldn't they be tall? If you're going based on the evolution argument, wouldn't they be taller? Like if they're
Well,
more...
you would evolve because of what's needed. In this case, you don't need a big body. There's a big body, assuming they eat food, then it would be less food, less resources. And then certainly if you're on a spacecraft, you would want less... Because you don't want to put Shaquille O'Neal on a spacecraft.
It's true.
But
it would suck.
Who says that aliens need to evolve? What if that's not a thing to them because they're just perfect already? What if their brains are not actually brains? What if they're made of like millions times more dense neurons than ours are? It's impossible to say what an alien would look like. The only reason we think of big heads is because of what directors have told us.
What do
like.
you know, Dawson? Seriously, what do you know?
I studied film and horror for a long time, and aliens just aren't.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I wasn't invited to study film and horror in college.
We have a lot of movie suggestions. In the comments,
is it?
E.T. Phone Home says Quest
No,
for Truth.
E.T. was 80s. That was early
Close
80s.
Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's,
80s.
no,
Based in
that's
Minnesota.
80s too, but that's a good one.
What about the movie Alien from 1979?
I think we referenced
Well,
that.
Or Invasion of the Body
Alien's way
Snatchers.
different. That's
That's
a
like
great movie, by the way.
solidly
went to them.
sci-fi.
Yeah. What else we got?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, says Beth Moy.
Do we really not have someone that's
And
going
then
to get this one?
Billy22 says They Live. It's really a documentary in the guise of science
I
fiction.
really want to see that
Never
one.
watched that.
How
Which one?
famous? How
They Live?
famous can this movie
Oh,
be
I've
if
heard of that.
none of our people know it in the comments?
There's got to be a movie with like
Because
a
we have a
big
young
head
audience, that's
and the
why.
big eyes, right? Like that's
What was
that's
the
definitely a
comic
thing.
one with
Mars Attacks?
Mars?
Oh
Attacks,
yeah, that's a
pretty
funny
good.
one. I like that.
That's true. All we know
I
from
am
media
as-
is it's sort of like the thing with dinosaurs. It's like the T-Rex doesn't look like the one that we know because we saw it in Jurassic Park. Actual T-Rexes
Well, that's
probably had
before
feathers and stuff.
we had more information about them, though. Like apparently dinosaurs have feathers too, because they're more like birds.
Yeah.
So that's Jurassic Park was made before we knew that.
Who's to say that
What
we
do
don't
we
find out
really
that
know
T-Rexes
anymore?
have
Well, that's
feathers?
true. I mean, we also claim we know the temperature 120,000 years ago. So like, what do we actually know? Like,
Yeah, we're definitely in the
Dawson, do you
Matrix.
believe in aliens?
No.
Neither do
I
I.
also don't think space is infinite and all that junk. Because then there's infinite chances that there are infinite Earths that have contacted us infinite times. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I think the reason I
Yeah.
don't want aliens to exist is because it makes religion complicated, in my opinion.
Why?
That's why I don't think any other intelligent beings
Why
exist.
does it make religion complicated?
Well, because God doesn't say anything about
But why?
aliens in the Bible.
And said what? Said in the Bible?
Yeah.
Why does that matter? He doesn't say a lot of things in the Bible. What does it matter?
I mean, everything you really need is based in the Bible.
Yeah, but
and
why
the
do we
creation
need,
story
what
gets
do we
weird.
need about
when-
aliens? We don't need that.
You're getting really defensive about
No,
it.
I had this
No,
conversation
it's like-
before. I've heard this one, and I don't like this anti-religious argument you're making there, William.
I'm very pro-religion. I'm just saying it makes it difficult if aliens
I don't
do
think
exist.
it makes it difficult at all. I don't. The Bible is a roadmap on how to navigate the world around us with humans. That's what it
Right,
is.
but
It's
if you
a great
look at the
book for that.
creation story, like if the
Hold
world
on
is the
one second. The
focus
creation
there.
story.
Yeah.
That the world was created in 7 days, actually
Yeah.
6 days, and rest on the seventh day.
Right.
That already isn't enough to go on. There's
Right.
no way you create the world in that amount of time.
What do you
And we
mean?
have enough details, right?
What do you
So-
mean?
What do you
What
mean?
are you
What do you
talking
mean?
about?
Meaning that
Okay,
you're
so
saying like it doesn't
Also,
tell,
in
you're
the-
saying it doesn't tell us about aliens, and yet the Bible tells us the world was created in 6 days.
And why can't
so there's clearly a lot of details that are left out.
Well, the Bible
right?
says that humanity is the focus of the universe, more or less, based
Right.
on the creation story.
Well, who's to say it's not?
Well, let's just start with God has always been.
Yep.
Just try to wrap your brain around that. Always
That's
been.
already exactly, and that's how you know there's a God. Cause
Right.
It's like you
And
can't
I love it when
possibly-
people say, well, God couldn't have done that. So you're saying the being that's been forever, all-knowing, made everything, you're on the same plane that you can understand what he knows or what he can do?
Well, stop assuming gender there.
It says clearly God the Father.
They're
So-
changing that now in churches in Minnesota. You know that?
Not
not
my
a joke.
Gosh.
Not a
Not
joke.
my church.
Wait, what was the
The
creed?
Sparkle Creed.
Sparkle Creed.
They
Yeah,
should
we
be
don't know.
gone.
The non-binary God. Warren, you are such a bigot. How dare you?
Wait. So when you say that,
I'm misogynist too. Just so you know.
Well, clearly.
but when you say that, are you making a pro-alien argument or an anti-alien argument by saying
he won't commit?
They won. Look at they won. Tucker, you're right. They won. That's all we go. We go right back to it.
The aliens
I am
won?
looking at my sheet right now. I'm like, we're gonna get into the Federal Reserve spiking interest rates.
Let's do that.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah,
how
but
far
we're
along
gonna go
are
right
we
back
here?
to aliens.
45 minutes.
Oh,
45
jeez.
We
Why
are
we take the
clearly gonna
clock
go right
away
back to
over
aliens.
here?
We are now on the history of the world. God created, and we can't ignore the fact that there's an alien story out there.
Diversion.
It is a diversion.
You know,
Hey,
it's gotta be.
Napkinator gave us a $10 Rumble grant. Any thoughts on crime reduction in Minneapolis? Wants to change the subject, apparently.
Well done. Well done. That's actually a very fair point. Crime is out of control. What did we just learn?
Supposedly, it's going down.
Yeah.
But that's
there
what
was
the
a
Minnesota
Alpha News
Reformer
story on
says.
here.
Yeah, it's going down because it's so hot out. No one wants to do anything.
Well, that's true. That's very true. And that's the other thing, that these like BLM protests don't happen during the cold winters.
Yeah.
Teen charged in 4 shootings, facing several felony charges. I thought I saw something on hijacking. Anyhow, back to aliens. So
Are aliens responsible for the crime reduction? Think about it.
there you go. That's how they solve crime, right? That's how they solve it, by doing this. By the way, I see Carla Nelson's.
Yeah, she's-
Is this a good time for us to show this text stream? This is a really funny story. Speaking of,
I think we owe Napkinator a serious discussion.
Yeah,
Daisy.
that is true.
$10.
He's having fun.
Well,
Napkinator will
No, he
appreciate
gets-
this one. Pull up. So I get this text, and I bring this up to the group. This is a text yesterday. Let me find it. All right. This text comes from a number I don't know, and it says out of the blue, "Hello, you are invited to come meet Kevin's significant other over a dinner at the house on Tuesday, August 1st, 5-ish. We will be grilling ribeye, capitalized, so please RSVP, smiley face." Take that graphic away. I don't want to get ahead of myself. That's what the text says. Now I go, because we all get the, hey, you got roof
Right,
damage, your extended warranty on your car. So I'm like, well, this is an interesting new text. I'm already skeptical in this text because ribeye was some really interestingly capitalized, right? And I do like ribeye. What do they know? But I'm like, I don't know who Kevin is. Kevin and who's significant other? Kevin's significant. I don't know who that. What? That's a weird thing to say to me. I don't have plans on August 1st at 5-ish, so that they're on to something there. So I'm like, what is this message? So I bring it up to the group, and everyone kind of like, I don't know, but. And some of you guys are like, we should text back or something.
No, I was saying you shouldn't text back.
I definitely was on that impression.
Because that's where all the new scams are coming from.
Right.
Like people text you and like, hey, is this blah, blah, blah. And they want you to respond and get information.
Well, I always,
out of you.
if I do respond, it's always funny, being weary of that. But I was like, this is an interesting one. I almost think like texting back in general is bad because it's going to do something. Like they find out it's a good number.
Did you Google the number?
I did not Google, but we actually got a conclusion of the story.
I feel like I know where it's coming from because
really
Carla
funny.
just commented.
Carla, don't give away the story. How dare you, Carla? And there's 4 other numbers. I don't know any of these numbers. So this morning, as we're in our show prep, I get a new number that says, I was able to get the night off, so I will be there, smiley face. And then another number says, I work poll tabs at night. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. So now I'm like, what? Wait a second. This does sound like Minnesota people working poll tabs. By the way, these guys didn't know what that meant, working poll tabs. That was
Who
hilarious.
didn't know that?
Bridget wasn't in the meeting, but Dawson and William didn't know.
I think of the e-pull tabs.
Well, they're all e-pull tabs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
But
they got those physical
Right,
ones.
right.
They just go to different bars than us,
Sure.
I guess. We go to the old school ones, right? So I was like, this guy sounds Minnesota, and there's other numbers. Like, this is bizarre. So I'm starting to think, I don't know, did you guys agree with me? This is like some advanced AI scamming technique. Like, they got a couple different numbers. What are you shaking your head for, Dawson?
Because they've got you afraid of AI for no reason.
Well, don't tell me that's not going to happen. They'll have AI scams.
It's a diversion, Jake.
Wouldn't that make sense? And they're trying to get me to really pipe in and be like, no, I don't know who you guys are and stuff like that. So then I get this one. Yay. Oh, so sorry, Jake. I miss seeing you. Pop in and say hi sometime. And I'm like, all right.
They know your name.
They know my name. They know I like ribeye steak. Somehow they know I have no plans on August 1st at 5-ish. So I'm like, so then I asked the crew, I go, what should I do? They go, just write, who is this? So I do, who is this? I get back, your mom-in-law. I'm like, oh no, that's not my mom-in-law. First of all, mom-in-law, she wouldn't say that.
Right.
And I'm like, this is crazy. So now I'm like, they're fishing. They're trying to get info on me. So I'm like, let's see, what if I get, what if I ask them who my mother-in-law is and they know the name? And then I was like, it's clearly AI scam, right? They're searching the web. They find out who my mother-in-law's name is. And then eventually, if they got that, then I'm going to send the credit card info. I don't know what the scam is, all right? So I assume that's where this thing's going. By the way, I'm not dumb. I'm not going to play into it. But we're just genuinely curious. And stop shaking your head, Dawson. You were curious, too. You didn't know. He's acting like he knew. Actually, probably did. He
I'm
didn't
not
tell
thinking
us.
that I knew. It's weird that you jumped to AI being the answer. That's the
Well, knowing the
anti-Occam's
conclusion now,
razor.
it's funny going back.
You know, that is interesting. Why is AI being talked about so much in the last week?
Diversion.
Again,
clearly. Diversion.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like, all right, what's my mom-in-law's name? And this isn't in the text message. I just took a screenshot. And then this is what makes the whole thing so great. I don't think she's going to mind me reading this. Laugh aloud. I just realized I have the wrong Jake in this thread. Sorry. I will start a new one. It's Carla Nelson, the Patriot, not the Swamp Creature. One of our fans of the show, Carla Nelson, who's in the comments right now.
What was the comment up there?
She wrote, I have a son, Jake, and a son-in-law, Jake, but you are welcome to come too, Jake D. And now she knows I can't refuse because I have no plans on August 1st at 5-ish. By the way, I keep saying that. I got to make sure that's true.
Yeah, Kirsten hasn't told you if you got plans.
I don't
yet.
think I have
There you
plans.
go.
That doesn't work that way. How dare you? He's clearly living in Barbie world. You got that one, right? So, yes, anyhow, we did get to the bottom of that. We were going to actually bring that up on the show. And I told Carla, I'm like, we were literally going to bring this up on the show and see what the audience thought this was. And that's what I thought. Maybe this is like some new scam where they like get a bunch of different numbers talking in and then they get the info they need out of you. That was just Carla Nelson.
Just Carla Nelson.
Just Carla
But the Patriot
the
Carla
Patriot
Nelson.
Carla Nelson. And I love how she specifies it's not Senator Carla Nelson, because then I've been like, I'm not coming to your place.
We have a YouTube comment.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
It says 52 minutes in and we haven't talked about Hunter yet.
Hunter Biden. All right,
Are we
thank you.
really
Very
52
good point.
minutes in?
Very good point. Yesterday, plea deal is, this is something we knew for weeks, right? That we have a plea deal. Or Hunter Biden has a plea deal. And then, of course, everyone's like, he's getting off, right? He's got 2 tax evasions, which, by the way, means owes millions of dollars in back taxes paid by someone in Hollywood, right? Someone in Hollywood just pays off his taxes. And then we find out those are busted down to, misdemeanors? No jail time. He's got to plea out that. And then he's actually got a felony gun charge because he lied on a document, was that 4473 document, the background check, saying that he wasn't on drugs at the time, which we clearly know. Everyone knows at this point with the laptop. That is real. It's true. The laptop does exist, by the way. So all of a sudden, that's not going to send him to prison, which, by the way, if you and I did that, we're going to
That
jail.
charge was going to be dropped entirely as long as you went through some drug program.
Right.
Yes. So then we find out yesterday that apparently this judge, as she's chatting with the lawyers, and this just seems unprecedented. Like, apparently, if you come to court, for what is this, a charging hearing or whatever it is, this is where you would offer your plea deals, or they plead not guilty. So he ends up pleading not guilty, by the way, instead of guilty to this deal. Usually this is like all pre-orchestrated and it's like signed off. She doesn't rubber stamp it because apparently they find out that they actually wanted to give him immunity going forward.
Right.
So she asked the question, does Hunter Biden, is he still being investigated? Which, of course, everyone knows he's kind of being investigated from congressional testimony. By the way, did you guys see that there's congressional testimony on aliens yesterday? This is so crazy.
We should spend 50
actually got
minutes talking
recovered
about
aircraft. And then and we didn't get to talk about this on the show on Tuesday, but now McCarthy, because congressional Republicans are all over this, are actually teasing us about a potential impeachment of Biden.
An impeachment inquiry, which is kind of
Fair.
lame because did Democrats have an impeachment inquiry of Trump, or did they just jump straight to impeachment?
I think by process you have to have an inquiry.
Which time, right?
Yeah, which time, exactly.
Beth Moy says, doesn't matter, Biden will pardon him anyway. Carla says, good point, Beth Moy, better wait to give him his sentence after Trump is in.
Think about this. So imagine Biden pardons his son. Well, actually, how would that be viewed by the American people?
Well, he would either, if he wins again, he'd probably wait until after
Yeah.
he's sworn in again, or if he loses, he would do it on the way out of office.
So you're saying Joe Biden would let his son go to prison?
I think briefly. Because like
you act like that's not a big deal. It only takes one day to get raped in prison. You know what I mean? You're like,
that's a big
he's only there for a
geez.
month. Yeah, that's a lot of raping that can happen that month. I mean, like, God. Who would want to go to prison for a day? Not a chance. Well, I'm just being honest. This is called The Truth Hurts. This is the Truth Hurts show. It only takes one day to have that happen to
I'm
you
sure
in
Joe
prison.
Biden or Hunter Biden has every STD known to man, so I don't think anyone would want to touch him in there.
Yeah, I think there'd be plenty that would.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you could kick the crap out of the president's son. You don't think that? I mean, come on. What is his
if
fate in prison?
But here's the political ramifications. If Biden pardons his son, he says that the political class is above the law. And the American people would clearly see that it wouldn't fly well in an election year.
Yeah, but what they're saying right now, like their answer to the media, which is just so abysmal, and I don't want to play the video, but you could watch Katrina Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is. Kickapoo Jean-Pierre. What is her name?
Kareem Jean-Pierre.
Kareem Jean-Pierre. Yeah. So you can listen to her. She goes, oh, this is a private family matter. The Bidens love their son. They're working through these things. And I'm like, I think people buy that because they're like, if this was my son, my poor son, right? So I don't know if he pardons his son. I don't think he wants his son to go to prison. It's definitely a political. I think it could be a political thing. It might be a political liability. It might also be a political liability if he doesn't and lets his son go to prison.
Well, this is already not a family issue anymore because.
Well, that's how they're framing it. You're right, 100% right on that.
But here's where the corruption comes in. The person who bought Hunter's crappy artwork just got a political appointment.
Right.
Like clearly, it's bribes.
It never.
And that's where the impeachment inquiry comes in.
Google Hunter Biden paintings.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this.
Oh,
I shouldn't call it crappy before.
No.
I just assume it's crappy.
We're gonna have some fun with this. This is probably millions of dollars into the Biden banks from Hunter Biden's artwork.
But you really think, Jake, that the Biden voter cares about any of that?
Well, I'm not saying Biden voter in this case.
You're saying the independents might be swayed the other way if.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is once again, William just like, oh, he's just going to go to prison for a month and be raped 30 times. That's not a big deal to Joe Biden.
I have not said that word once on air.
What didn't you say on air?
I guess there's nothing rape. I've not. Why? It just feels like a weird.
This is why we call you
say.
straight-laced, William.
It feels uncomfortable.
There you go.
To say.
Look at this magnificent artwork here. Who wouldn't want to pick one of those up for a couple million, right?
That's gonna.
Well, just be honest, Dawson. For a guy who works in the oil and gas industry, Ukrainian oil and gas industry, that's a pretty damn good painting, right?
What do you mean? I work. Oh, yeah, him. Yeah, okay.
Oh wait, no, that's a microscopic view of his STD.
I mean, I like to think that I have an artistic eye, and
he does like.
It's
to think
interesting to look at, but it's not like anything fantastic. There's been weirder paintings sold for that much money.
Wait, so you're telling me that Hunter Biden is a Navy officer, a board member on a big energy company,
He's
a
not
lawyer?
Navy officer.
Huh?
He's not a Navy officer. You think it's
Yeah, he served in the Navy for like a
No,
month.
he didn't.
Yes, he
Bo
did.
did.
For what?
Oh,
For a
that's
month?
right. He got kicked
And then he
kicked
got
out.
dishonorably discharged.
Oh, well, was he? Oh, I suppose I get okay.
Right.
He got a
Was he?
special
All right,
waiver
I'm
because
sorry.
he was 40 years
I
old.
I wouldn't use the term he was a Navy officer if he had a dishonorable
Well,
discharge.
no, I know. My point is that like he's had all these little things in life because of his dad. He's been helping him out
What?
along the way.
He didn't get that on his own merit?
Well,
Shock my
Well,
world.
listen, when it comes to Ukrainian oil and gas drilling, I mean,
He's the
there's
Hunter
expert.
Biden's the expert.
well, when it comes to drilling, there's no one that knows better than Hunter Biden. No, you wouldn't tell that joke, would you, William?
No, I would not.
Not a chance.
I would not. Not
Life
on
of
air
Yogi
anymore.
on YouTube says everyone knows that the art industry is a money laundering operation for the elite.
This is true.
Absolutely.
True, yeah. Although I would say this, I could see a really wealthy person on the right buy one of those just to hang it up and say, yeah, I got a Hunter Biden. Would be kind of funny. It's a funny
I
troll.
bet those things actually are
With
worth
darts.
money now after the news stories.
Well, okay, let's be honest here. Okay, now millions, that's corrupt. But I'd probably pay $100 for a Hunter Biden, right?
Why?
Because then I get to say that's a Hunter Biden.
Oh gosh.
Because that's, let's be honest, a lot of people buy art because it's a conversation piece. And to say I got a Hunter Biden on the wall there.
so you'd give
that's a
money
conversation
to Hunter Biden, the Biden family. What are
Yeah,
you getting
that
in
is the
return
tricky
here?
one, isn't
Right.
it?
Do you get some sort of appointment or something?
See this?
Well, that's why I said like $100 because I assume that doesn't come with the bennies, you know?
Yeah.
This alien distraction is working on Jake. He's gone over to the other side.
There,
Yeah, yeah, no
That's
kidding.
the plan all along.
There you go. That's what they do. They do a Hunter Biden where he draws a UFO or an alien. That's what we got to do. How much you pay for that one? Last story. We got to talk about this. The most important story actually today, right? Of all these stories we're talking about, we went 50-some minutes on aliens. This is the most important one. Speaking of money, speaking of laundering money, Beth, is the Federal Reserve. Now pull up the article at actionforliberty.com. I just quickly typed this up yesterday. I could go on and on about this. Warren, I'd love to get your viewpoint, but the Fed actually increased its interest rates again. That's a benchmark. The federal funds rate was basically the interest rate that banks charge each other to borrow money. And so they raised that another 25 basis points, which is basically 0.25%. So the new benchmark is 5.25% to 5.5%. So they're trying to target that area. This is one of the various tools that the Federal Reserve actually has in their regard to fight inflation or to keep. So they basically have this goal to have 2 to 3% inflation annualized, right? We obviously know that's not happening. And the Federal Reserve creates the money supply. So why we have inflation? Because the Federal Reserve created so much money during COVID. And by the way, it's not just the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is just a bunch of banks and a bunch of snobby, I wasn't going to say bureaucrats, like academics, right? The banks, the real muscle behind the Federal Reserve, they're the ones that always benefit, right? If you get free money and you get a 0.25%, that's a lot of new free money. It's a good gig to be in the banking industry, connected with the Federal Reserve. By the way, the Federal Reserve's got a lot of different things. They also clear checks, right? We all know that. The Federal Reserve oversees all banks that aren't just state chartered, that are actually federalized or have banks in multiple locations. Anyhow, they increased the interest rate, and this is, I think, let's see here. We were basically at zero for about a decade, and they've started to grow interest rates because this is the one tool they use to curb inflation. And we all know, and I don't know if you guys have been noticing this at the gas station, gas is up to about $3.70. Pretty much all the gas stations we're going around in the East Metro, about $3.69.
Jumped up real quick, too.
Real quick.
Yeah.
What's it at the point in Hastings?
I haven't been down there in a couple days. I'm not sure.
This is how stupid I can be sometimes. I'm like, they're so high now, I want to go to the point. And it's like, wait a second, what's the cost to go down to the point to get gas?
Do the math.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 50-50-50. All right, so the Federal Reserve is playing with fire here, okay? So they're trying to stop the inflation from getting out of control by increasing the interest rate. Well, here's the problem. And they kind of have to do that, right? And the reason that works is because it's contracting the money supply. If interest rates go up, It's more costly to borrow money, so there's less money going around the economy, less savings because people basically can't afford to take out this money. So that's the idea behind it. Here's the problem. If they keep growing interest rate, how many markets are determined or are based on or addicted to those low interest rates? And it's not small markets. We're talking about large markets like the housing market. For instance, and Warren, you could speak to this as an expert. Interest rates have gone up tremendously in mortgages. What is that? Do you know what? I know you're not a loan officer, but what is the mortgage typical 30-year right now?
It's hovering around 7, but that could have been yesterday.
So do you remember when, and I bought in 2017, you found a home for me in 2017. We love it, by the way. Great neighborhood. Love it. Love our neighbors if they're watching. You know who you are watching. I think we locked in at 3.5, something like that. Somewhere.
Probably.
So it's doubled since 2017. Yes. 6 years, right?
Well, as recently as probably 21, or locking in at 2.5,
Yeah, they brought it down. That's right. We were looking at refinancing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a problem too now. I mean, if everybody refinance and they're at 3% or better, and you're thinking about moving up, you're going to go to 7% if you have to have a mortgage. I mean, that's why there are no properties on the market.
Yeah, and I literally got friends right now that is like, we want to get out of the house because they didn't use Warren Wessel for the realtor. That's the reason. But they're in an area, same Lake Elmo, but just in an area with a little too much traffic and noise, close to the 94 side. They love to see how peaceful things are on our side of the woods. And they're like, we're just kind of locked. We're stuck. And that's what a lot of people are. They're stuck. Because to get into a new mortgage, you're talking about now you're doubling the interest rate for people that bought in the market that I did, right? Well, so generally what happens is people have to sell homes. They got to sell homes. They got work changes. They're downsizing, whatever it is in life. So they have to sell homes. So there's buyers and sellers. So the buyers, in order to afford these new homes, and the interest rates are higher, what has to happen with the price? Price has to come down, right? So this is why I have long predicted that the housing market, there's a big bubble and it will burst again. The reason it's not happening, as you just alluded to, is because inventory is low, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But once again, I think the inflationary pressures, people just can't afford to even maybe move to another place. I guess with a lot of corporations allowing working from home, essentially they're not moving. I think this would be a theory, right? I don't know if you guys talk about this in the real estate agency, but a lot of homes now are basically the office.
Right.
So people aren't selling the homes for that reason. But there's historically low. So the only reason we don't see this happening right now is the inventory is low. It's supply and demand at the end of the day.
Right.
And there's just not a lot of supply.
Right. But like you said, people are working for them in their houses, so that's why it's important that our government is spending over $500 million to have a dedicated bus lane in the East Metro, because we'll make it easier for the carjackers to get out to the good cars. So it's well thought out.
I forgot about that, because remember when I lived in Woodbury, we used to be in the same BPOU, and they were talking about the rapid bus lane, and I'm like,
it's
nowadays
being built.
It's just like, that's not a thing these days as much. Although there's still too much damn traffic. I remember that was the best part about the pandemic, is not much traffic.
Oh yeah,
I hate traffic.
Awesome.
I hate traffic so much. I even come to Roseville. I wish we built this thing way over in the East Metro. I do not like coming. Sorry, Bridget. I know that would suck for you, but I just don't like. I hate traffic. Oh, stop it.
I'm moving slightly closer to the cities. I think I'm only 20 minutes away from the office now.
Yeah, you got a good spot. He's actually going to be in Lake Elmo.
Yep. Oh, nice.
I was looking to buy a home. Funny that you're a realtor, but yeah, I couldn't.
Did you have a realtor?
Yeah, I did. Actually, you work with him.
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
And we were looking around at houses. We found a couple that we like, but the reality is, we just can't afford them.
Yeah, that's true. So the housing market, eventually, the people will end up selling, and there'll be more supply, and that's where you're going to see it. Prices will have to come down. So right now, if you're selling, you have a wonderful market, but that's going to correct itself as interest rates go up. Here's another one. The banks that are addicted to low interest rates, big portfolios of bonds. Go back to the article. There's a graphic here of the amount of banks that failed in the Great Recession, and then the ones today. Now the numbers, there's only two notable ones of 2023.
Right.
But in orange, you can see the amount of assets there. And of course, we're talking about Silicon Valley Bank, and I can't remember what the other one's name was. Escaping my mind right now. But look at the amount of assets, and that rivals basically 2008.
Yeah.
Wow.
As we increase interest rates, you have bank failures because banks have large portfolios of fixed income securities that are tied to low interest rates. And so just like the housing market, when you increase interest rates, no one wants to, if you were to sell a bond of a year before, that bond's price goes down to sell it, because why would you want to buy a bond with a lower interest rate when you can buy new bonds with higher interest rates, right? But so they call that selling at a discount. So essentially you have to sell at a discount so that people still get the same rate of return. Don't want to get into the mechanics of the bond market. I hope that makes a little bit of sense to you, but that's what's going to happen in the bond market. And by the way, you being a product of the 80s, you know this very well. The bond market's been on a 30-year plus bond run. Like basically interest rates came precipitously down. In 81, we had mortgages in the teens.
Oh, yeah. High teens even.
High teens, exactly. The short-term treasuries were at like 17%. So, yeah, essentially, and that was also to curb inflation during, there's another great case point. Curbed inflation in the 70s, late 70s from Jimmy Carter's time. So that's another one. Here's the big kahuna, and this is why I'm not optimistic on the global economy, and certainly not optimistic on the U.S. economy. All the debt that we've taken on, because this is the solution. COVID, the Great Recession, even going back to dot-com bust. The big solution by government and the Federal Reserve to save us is to take out more debt and to print money to do it. So essentially, we are now seeing government debt that was financed at low interest rates. It matures, and we don't pay the debt off. Do you guys know that? We don't actually have a big bank account we're paying it off with. We just re-borrow to pay off the old debt. So guess what? When we get this new debt, it matures, or we just take a higher, or we have higher deficits. That's now debt at a higher interest rate. So if you look at the U.S. Treasuries, and I was telling you about this, one of the best bets out there right now is the short-term U.S. Treasury.
Yes.
You can get 5% yield on, a 2-month Treasury? Why the hell wouldn't you do that? It's higher than a 30-year bond.
Yep.
And you know you're getting your money back. It'll be devalued, but you know you're getting your money back because the government actually backs that money because they can just print it. That's why they back it, by the way. This whole jig's going to be up. It's sad. I don't know why I'm laughing. The jig's up, right? This is actually the most damn important. If I could conclude and bring this whole episode to one summary, we're off worrying about damn aliens, which you guys think's diversion. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's them to consolidate global world order. We're worried about that. We probably all heard the Fed grew interest rates. Did you know what that meant? You probably didn't know what that meant. I'm telling you what, no one's talking about this massive problem that we have right now. Going up in interest rates, which they pretty much have to do because inflation's out of control, is going to cause a global economic depression because that's what's going to happen. We cannot afford to continue paying off our debt or servicing our debt when those interest payments go up. This is a massive problem. And guess what? What's the government going to do when interest rates become so unbearable? Are they going to cut defense spending? No, you can't cut defense spending. We got to keep fighting Russia and Ukraine. And what about China? We gotta stave off China. They're not shrinking the defense budget. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, those programs continue to rise. Are they going to cut the national parks? No, they're not cutting the national parks. They're not cutting a dime of your government. So when interest rates keep going up and the servicing of the debt goes up, what are they going to do? They got two options. You guys know them? They either tax you more, right? We become Western Europe. France, you pay 50, 60% of share. How's that going to go over? We'll be in the streets, no doubt. Look what they're doing right now in France. They're in the streets because they want to make any cuts. People are not going to live with that in America, so they can't tax it. So what are they going to do? They got one other option. They do the same thing they've been doing, and they continue printing more money. And what happens to the value of the dollar? It just completely gets diminished. This is what's coming. But I digress. Let's go back to aliens here.
Let's not.
Tucker actually, Razzle-Dazzles came in and said, I'm here, start over. Movie review less on this show this afternoon because Razzle-Dazzles didn't want the movie review. But then Tucker says mostly alien talk. So we'll bring it back. Tucker, you just mentioned aliens again, and Razzle-Dazzles just arrived and was like, I'm here, start over. But Tucker said mostly alien talk on the show today.
Oh, yeah. All alien talk.
Shouldn't we talk like
But-
digital dollar and are we going to be the world?
Well, hold on. I just got a new scam text. Oh, they are getting so clever. Nikki Haley here. My team is sending a shirt to the first 500 patrons who chip in $5 or more. Act now, Jake. These damn scam text messages.
So you bring up a good point.
It's like they heard me say Ukraine. They go, oh, it's one of our guys.
So I keep hearing about this new currency, this new global currency that's being launched in August, that's supposedly backed by gold. I don't know much about it. I just hear people, like I hear when I'm listening to Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles.
A lot of people say it's good currency. I don't know.
I only hear about it in ads because like there's a new global and you need to back your money up with gold or something like that. But I don't know. They don't tell me more about this global
Well, you know,
currency.
if it's an ad, it's got to be right. You know, like ads.
Well, no, supposedly this is a real thing that's coming along.
Oh, of course. That's actually the libertarian view, is to have competing currencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because right now you have government-backed currency that they manipulate. Everyone uses dollar bills. In fact, there's legal tender laws. You have to be able to accept these in private and public debts. Look on your dollar bill. It says that for all debts, public and private. So they do kind of have a monopoly. No, there's already competing currencies, quite frankly. Gold is a competing currency.
Roxy 1956 says rainbow currency.
What's rainbow currency?
I
I haven't heard about that.
Sounds
No idea.
Sounds like, well, June's over. We're not using that anymore.
Okay, yeah, the BRICS nations are gathering in South Africa.
Yeah, Brazil, Russia.
Yeah. Supposedly they're getting together in August and they are creating a new currency.
Okay, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if it's gold backed.
Yeah.
I doubt that's
I don't
gold
know.
backed.
Well, they're talking about a Fed digital dollar here,
That too,
right?
yeah.
And
But
then
DeSantos doesn't want that. Not in Florida.
So we talked a little bit about this before. You're not worried about Fed now for some reason. We watched that Dave Ramsey video. You remember?
No, I don't remember this. I remember watching the video, but what was I not worried about?
Well, because money is more or less already numbers on a screen.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So when I say that the government's printing money, they're actually not printing money. Like Google. So if you look at the monetary base, if you just Google that, it's probably like $4 trillion. So that's like the actual money, monetary base. You could type in FRED. That's the system that the St. Louis Fed uses to monitor it. Oh God, I haven't looked at this in a while. It's $5.6 trillion. Sorry, I haven't looked at it since like 2020.
Is that physical?
Yeah,
money?
physical. That's like the currency that's floating around the economy. You just look at some of their other measurements, like M2, all these other measurements. Oh yeah, you got it up there. Monetary base. Just look up. Let's see here. You see below it, it says M6. Yeah, right there, right below where your cursor's at. Yeah, click on that. Click on July. So there they have, so this has got a breakdown of the charts. So M1 money, so basically this is one measure. So not to get too specific, but when you start measuring like how much money's in banks, so it's like digital money, you're looking already in the past $21 trillion, right? M2 is at $21.5 trillion. You can see currency in circulation to the right of that is $2.2 trillion. And then there's reserve balances. So those two things combined make up the monetary base. So maybe I should just said currency in circulation, which is measured at $2.2 trillion. All right, long story short. We say that because people can see like the printing press running and it means something. But we know this. There's not a lot of dollars in circulation, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, the Fed also ends up taking dollars, destroying dollars, and printing new dollars because eventually dollars wear down, right? Which is maybe a legitimate function. But let's just be honest. Their real thing they're doing is manipulating the price per unit, right? They're degrading that price. So I think maybe what you're alluding to was a lot of it's already digital in that aspect.
Right. Well, so what people are worried about with Fed now, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that the federal government would have more oversight over what you're spending your money on or receiving money for.
Oh, yeah.
That's the fear. Although I don't understand with like credit cards and bank accounts, I don't know how they don't already have access to that unless there are more barriers currently.
They got all of it, you pay taxes. The IRS knows about all your accounts.
I believe there's
Apparently
a good reason.
They have trouble with Hunter Biden's accounts, though.
Right.
Yeah, they
I
can't.
mean, that's the interesting stuff. Did he make a payment to a sex club or not? Was it a golf club? Nope, sex club. That's what it was.
Yep. Very true.
At least according to congressional testimony. Oh, you guys, did you see yesterday on Congress they had a hearing on aliens and UFOs? This is really interesting. Go to pull up the video over there, Dawson.
Well, they're talking about the digital dollar, the Fed, like there are some people theorize they are going to go to that and that physical money won't be worth anything. And when you turn your physical money in or your accounts, you'll be reimbursed based on the color of your skin.
All of us believe that too nowadays, right? That's where it's going. A social credit system.
ESG. Remember what I told you about ESG?
Yes, and that's big news these days. Very smart man over there, Warren.
Well, you guys got to be careful because they're onto us now. They all know that ESG is a toxic word, so they're going to change it up.
Right.
I think the new term is conscientious capitalism or something.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the problem with critical race theory. If you ban critical race theory, they're just going to come up with a new term.
Sure.
So they're never going to stop any of this stuff, even if consumers speak out against it.
Debbie says
buy gold.
Buy gold. And,
yes.
And I agree. Now, I'll give you my quick
physical
summary.
gold.
Actually, I'm going to be teaching these courses here real soon. I don't want to get too much into it, but on...
Is this another plug, Jake?
I'm not plugging yet because they're not fully designed. I'd hate to plug something that's not there, but I'm actually teaching courses because I got a background in investments and financial advising. Here's why gold is important. People think gold is it an investment? It's not an investment. It's a storage of wealth. Right. But gold is like some of the oldest money, and it has characteristics nothing else has. First of all, it's easily divisible because, quite frankly, one of the biggest traded commodities is oil. But what are you going to store? Barrels of oil. You fill up that room with my wealth back there. So gold's easily divisible. It's really easy to store. So that's one property that gold has that's really nice. Obviously, it's much easier if you have a digital wallet, right?
Right.
But then you have another problem, and this is what gold is gold has value. And the only thing cryptocurrency has that's valuable is its rarity. We know gold is rare, right? It's like all the gold that's ever been mined up to this date could fit in like 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. You realize that? I mean, that's a lot of gold, but it's really not that much, right? So gold is rare. You actually have to mine out of earth. Yeah, you have to mine Bitcoin. That's the only value it has. Otherwise, it literally has no value. It's some digits on a thing. Gold has value. Go propose to a woman. Bridget, tell me if I'm wrong in this. Propose to a woman and give her a ring. She's probably going to expect that to be gold. Maybe, was that white gold? Is that what the silver is?
White gold.
Yeah. She's going to want gold. 24 karat, boys. That's the pure stuff.
Did you do it?
Am I right about that?
24 karat?
Oh, yeah, you're the newest.
Yeah, he's the...
I didn't hear the question. What?
Did you get a gold ring for Maya?
No, it was. I don't remember what it was.
Is this this is probably a trendy thing, you know?
It is. There is kind of trendy things with not gold.
It's a bit of
gold.
a
yeah. You guys, your generation's probably like, oh, screw that.
But you know
what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Do you have a gold ring? What kind of ring do you have?
Yeah, it's gold.
See,
and I did buy
titanium.
gold. I did buy gold, but one thing I didn't realize is how heavy the commission is on it.
Well, it depends. What do you mean heavy of the commission?
Well, like if you buy gold, like I bought gold at about 1840. And when it went over 2,000, if I sold it, I would have lost $2,000.
How would you have lost $2,000?
Because of the commission of buying and selling.
Oh, well, okay. Well, we need to talk afterwards on how to buy and sell. What did you buy? Did you buy just
physical gold?
Yeah, no, I know. But so there's gold that you buy because it's like a coin that's rare. Like the most expensive gold coin is the 1934 American Eagle. Do you know why that is? Because Congress, first FDR did this. It was found unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, but then Congress passed a law saying you can't own more than 5 ounces of gold. So the press, the U.S. Mint, stopped making these coins, but there's about a dozen 1934 Eagles that were produced, and I think about 8 of them ended up in one of the guys that worked at the Mint. Ooh. I think it was American Pickers or some show. I want to say it was a show. Maybe I just remember a news article. and it was discovered. This was like last decade they discovered it, and the government wanted to seize these coins because they, 100 years later had them illegally because they weren't supposed to own them back in the time. But they're so rare because they shut down the mint.
What are they worth?
So what are they worth? Well, if you melted it, it's worth 1 ounce of gold.
Right.
What they're
But if you
worth
bought
was
it-
over $1 million per coin because
Wow.
of its rarity. So if
I
you're
bought
buying
the
gold
wrong
for
gold.
that sake, then it's like buying artwork. Where I put a Hunter Biden painting at $100, others put it at $1 million. That might not be the best example there, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all subjective. If you're just buying purely for the physical content, yeah, that shouldn't be a high commission there. So we got to talk afterwards. And yeah, I don't want to go any further on this. Brad says buy physical gold, not any derivative of gold. Futures market is heavily manipulated by algorithms. By the way, you could also buy stocks of companies that mine gold. That's problematic, but it's like somewhat ownership. You can buy ETFs, GLD, Spider GLD. That's stock ticker GLD, which is like you're buying shares of gold, but it's stored somewhere else. And that's essentially what you could see as a currency that's just digital ownership from afar somewhere else. Of course, the ETF you sell real cheap because they function like you're selling a stock.
I know that finance courses are only going to be a fraction of what you're doing with this next project, but I think you really should give in-depth finance courses for like-minded people.
So, and he's talking about this cool project business that
you're only hinting at, but not entirely plugging.
Well, I don't want to when the time comes, But yeah, it's a lot of stuff to make you more prepared for things in the future, and finance has got to be a big one of it. So I got a lot of history in that subject matter and a lot of opinions on this subject matter. Hence why I wrote that story on actionforlibert.com. So go check that out, share it with people, because they have set us up for a doomsday. It literally is. The Fed is damned if they do, damned if they don't. Honestly, they have to increase interest rates. They got to curb inflation, but by doing that, now you're playing with fire. And I end the article, and it's a short article. I think it's like a 30-second to 1 minute read. Well, maybe it's a 2 minute read. But it's short, okay? Please, 2 minutes, all right? Give me 2 minutes of your time. It ends with who's to blame. And we have to remember it's the politicians. And I'm not saying just Democrats. It's both. It's the politicians selling us out. These guys have put us down in this undeniably bad path. And when the chickens come home to roost, I hope people remember that by voting them out. Because right now Congress has got like a, 90% re-election rate? And these are the assholes that put us in this predicament.
So what's the solution, Jake? If
Well,
you were
like
in charge?
Debbie said, buying gold is one solution. That's
No,
a way
but I
to
mean,
store
as a
your wealth outside
country.
of it.
So how do we?
That's a great question. So if you are, I was going to say hungover. Maybe I could use a better example. If you're Hunter Biden and you're coming off multiple binges on crack cocaine, you could keep the high, right? That's the problem. Is like hangover is really your body trying to reset, and it's painful. So if you want to,
that's not what a hangover is. A hangover is.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm just saying.
Oh, did I ruin the joke?
No, I'm not. It wasn't.
Okay.
Basically, whether it's drugs, alcohol, if you continue to use, right?
But I thought you were a
kinda
biologist,
ease
Jake.
the pain, right? You see what I'm saying? But what has to happen is the tough part. The hangover's got to come, and there's no political will right now. There's political will to find out more about the aliens, but there's no political will to have the hangover. And that's what we need, is we need the hangover. And so it's going to be rough because the federal government's got to shrink by, 30, 40%. And that's how we ended the Great Depression. World War II ends, 40% of the federal government shrinks, and the Great Depression goes away. I know, you didn't learn that in your history books or in school. I don't even think they're learning about this shit anymore in school. That's how sad it is nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it ends. The federal government's got to shrink. And I wrote an article about this, and it was very critical of Trump. MAGA Jesse's not here to defend Trump today. But this was the problem, is Trump embraced this socialist policy. Oh, we got a global pandemic. What are we going to do? We're going to create money out of thin air and hand it to people. Jeez, you handed money, thousands and thousands of dollars to people, and they're going right to Amazon and buying stuff. Luckily, enough people were actually paying down some debt, because consumer debt actually shrank in 2020.
But not now.
Not now, right?
Credit card debt is all-time high.
Yeah, exactly. But that's initially what happened, is people start paying for consumer goods, right? Do you know why we didn't have huge price inflation when they increased money coming out of the Great Recession? It's because that money went into bond and stock market. They went into asset classes. It was very easy for me to see the stock market go up. I made money doing that because the stock market's going to go up because that's where the big money is going to go. This one, they just hand it out to average person. They're going to buy consumer goods. So why are we shocked that consumer goods go up? That's where the new money was created and pushed in there. And it was lots and lots of money. So Trump did the exact wrong thing. But why did Trump do it? Because Trump wanted to win in 2020.
Sure.
And Trump's no different than any of these other guys. They want to win. So there's zero political will right now to solve this problem. And really, I'm blaming it on the politicians. I should. But it's not you guys, because our audience, we're patriots. We believe in limited government. But it's the general electorate. There's no will from them. France wants to tweak their retirement pension program,
right.
And they're in the streets. And that's going to happen in America too, right?
You're gonna have to.
There's no political will right now to solve this problem. But that's what's got to happen, is we literally got to make those cuts. And anytime someone talks about doing that, it's political suicide. So I don't see any way out of this thing, honest to God. And the people that are pretending like the Federal Reserve, well, we met and we decided to increase by another 25 basis points. Yeah. You guys got this under control. Come on. I mean, if debt and money printing is a path to prosperity, we don't know shit about finances. But that's what they do. Oh, whatever. Let's go to some.
I was going to say, Brad says monetary inflation is simple to fix. Don't grow the money supply over real growth.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. Okay, so I didn't think of that. Brad's actually onto another point. Technically, the other way to solve this problem is we have some massive boom to our economy. We find this new source of great energy that's better than nuclear or something like that, and we mass produce it. It changes our global economy so that the new created money kind of matches growth in the economy. But the problem is we don't actually have growth in our economy right now, right? Mm-hmm. The economy is kind of shrinking. Fed's saying that there's not really a for sure recession coming up. I don't know. How many 3Mers just lost their job in the last year, right? He's an East Metro guy, 3M country. Like, I don't know. We kind of are in a recession. So,
well, Jerome Powell thinks that there isn't going to be a recession anymore.
That's what I'm alluding to. Yeah, that was their statement yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
So, yes, I guess technically, Brad, if there was some massive growth, like new discovery that led to huge economic activity, technically that's true. We're doing the exact opposite of that. We're destroying economies by engaging in war with Russia, because war is actually bad for the economy. You're just sending money and destroying things. That's not good. The best thing for Russia and Ukraine is to come together and come up with a peace deal.
What was GDP the first and second quarter?
I don't even remember. I don't think we were. Were we negative?
Well, obviously couldn't have been negative, or that would have been a recession.
No. Warren, remember they redefined
they changed
it. They literally redefined. We had two consecutive growths. I just can't remember which quarters those were. I don't know if they were the last two quarters, but they redefined, because that used to be. You're right. You're so old school.
I'm sorry.
You're so old school. That old definition that existed up until Biden, where two consecutive negative GDP growth is a recession, but then that happened under Biden, and we ignore that, right? Yeah. Oh my God! Sorry. Let's go back to aliens, a less charged subject. I obviously care a lot about the subject. Go on and on. Do you guys like hearing this subject, by the way? Sorry, I like talking about it, but maybe you don't like hearing
aliens.
Razzle said in the article, Jake, is the amount of assets rivaling the total that failed in the Great Recession adjusted for inflation when you say $350 billion?
I'm imagining the answer to that question is no, but it wouldn't be so huge of a difference, okay? But yes, I'm thinking they're taking straight dollars. I don't know. What is I have to look at the chart if it says on there. Did I get rid of that page? I might have got rid of that page on mine. Nope, I didn't. Does it say adjusted for inflation? Doesn't say adjusted for inflation. Anyhow, it's still not going to be that much of a difference. What's inflation over the last, 15-year period? What would that be? 20% less? 20% difference, something like that, maybe? Not even. So, yeah, I don't think it's not going to tell a monumentally different story, but fair point. Yeah, Debbie says the Fed wants inflation at 3%, should be 0. Yeah, why is an organization in charge of keeping it at 3%? Part of that was the Chicago School of Milton Friedman, he actually believed that was a good, like target. Because if an economy expands, let's say at 3% a year, and the money supply grows at 3% a year, then you're in parity, right? So that's the thinking here, is that it's good to grow with an economy. But the problem is, if the economy grows at 3% and the money supply stays the same, that just means the dollars you held on to are worth more money, which is a good thing. This is the thing that people don't talk about, is what the Fed does is de-incentivizes savings. Inflating the money supply de-incentivizes savings. Certainly when they put interest rates at 0, it de-incentivizes savings. And you should be rewarded with saving your money. What else we got here?
Roxy 1956 says, so Trump stimulated the economy and would have kept the prices low, and we wouldn't be here in a recession. So I don't know if she's asking.
Where is it?
I don't know if you can. Right here. Bottom.
So Trump stimulated the economy and would have kept the prices low, and we wouldn't be here in a recession. Listen, here's the deal. We have to come to reality that Trump wasn't that great in the end on this subject, okay? Now, Trump, light years better than Biden when it comes to regulation, when it comes to foreign politics, the border, stuff like that. But when it came to policies, the Fed policy and stuff like that, I mean, listen, the guy created millions of dollars or trillions of dollars out of thin air, right? Or at least backed that program, right? Signed it into law. And then the Fed is complacent by doing it. Trump literally ran on cutting the debt in half, and he actually expanded the debt by trillions and trillions more. Now, Biden's worse, but I'm just saying Trump's not the hero on that subject. It's probably my biggest criticism of Trump, is he literally, and this is the swampiest of the swamp, the Fed, the people that are banking off of these Fed policies. When the banks are in charge of this policy, you think they're setting up a policy that's not going to benefit them in the end? They got both sides of it, the big banks. And then if they screw up, which they did in the Great Recession, they get bailed out by you and me. So they always benefit here, right? They ain't going anywhere. So, and if a bank goes under, the same people move over to the next bank. If it's JP Morgan, they go over to Citi. If it's Citi, they go over here to Wells Fargo. They know what's going on. They always come out ahead.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, then I don't want to get in a big discussion of primary voting, but Vivek came out strong about cutting programs, saying I'm going to take every single one of them, reduce the federal employees by 30-40%. And
wasn't that great?
That was great to hear.
Yeah, that was on Glenn Beck's.
Yeah, I think it was.
He's an impressive guy.
Is that your guy?
I don't have a guy. I have whoever can beat Biden. That's who I want. And, I would say, Trump and DeSantis and Vivek, I'd love to have any one of those three. You got to get rid of that guy or any Democrat because they're killing us.
That's right.
Debbie says Trump was set up, not his fault.
Yeah, it's his fault. It's his fault. The buck stops with you. A leader takes ownership of it, but I don't disagree. He was set up. I mean, listen, he was set up by Anthony Fauci, but at some point you got to take blame, right? The buck stops with you. You're the president of the United States. Now, Debbie might have a point if Trump's like, yeah, but they'll freaking kill me if I don't do this, right? And that's a fair point. I don't know. I could see that being the case.
But the good thing now is if he is elected, he doesn't care because he can't get reelected. So
but
I
he
heard
could get
this.
Killed.
I'm sorry. I got to
like
bring
he
this.
could.
Yeah. No. Here's the deal. It was Michael Mellis that said this. This is. I never thought of this thing. Trump might have in his head come to a point where he's like, you know what? I'm fine dying for what I believe in here. Okay. Trump might he's lived a great life, a really good life, 76 years, right? So that might not stop him, and that's kind of maybe what Debbie's alluding to here. But you know what they always got on him? We'll kill your son. We'll take your grandchildren. We'll destroy these people. That's what they do in third world countries.
Right.
So if we believe a deep state, let's go back to aliens. If deep state exists and they literally are willing to harm individuals to cover up aliens, whatever it is, who's to say they don't do this technique on him? And is that what's going on with Hunter Biden? If you This is the other conspiracy. Yeah, I don't believe this, by the way, but some people think Democrats didn't want Biden to run again, but he's the president. He decided by himself. So is Hunter Biden the thing that they got over him and go, we're going to throw your stupid son in jail. Look at what we got on him. You need to drop out of this race. So that's what they got on Trump. Because Trump cares very deeply about his children and his grandchildren. Biden only cares about the majority of his grandchildren. Did you get that one?
6 of them.
So that's a real deal. We know that it happens in third world country or in totalitarian states. Who's to say that's not happening here?
But how strong are they in that respect? I mean, are they the mob?
When Jeffrey Epstein can go and get out of prosecution multiple times, I don't know how they eventually let it happen. I guess the evidence was so overwhelming, where they're able to go and penetrate ABC News and kill a story. You've seen that video. The lady's like, I had the story.
Right.
They wouldn't let me. They came to me and took that story away. I had the story. All the women, right? When they have the power to do that stuff, because literally, if you follow Jeffrey Epstein's story, they had prosecutors that didn't end up pursuing it, but they had them. They had them on these stuff.
Yeah, but that's
so if they
different.
can do that, why is that different?
Well, because they're not killing anybody. They're just stopping
You don't
the
think
story.
for a second they haven't killed people?
Well, I don't doubt that.
There you
but,
go.
I mean, so what do we got to do? Get our side where we can root them out and take care of them, right?
That's why we all have to get together in January and we have to storm the. Just kidding. That was a joke. That was a total joke.
No, that's FBI agent storm.
Yeah. Dawson had me say that, Mr. Deep State. Is he like sleeping now? Look at him back
I don't
there.
know.
How is Ray Epps anyway?
Look at him. He's like, he's like, oh shit, you were supposed to go an hour, now you're an hour and 40 minutes. So we had aliens to talk about.
So what's up with Ray Epps?
No, we're done. We're done talking. We went way long. I literally said an hour. What's Base Minnesota say? Germany didn't have a central bank before World War II, but had one after the war. They did actually have a central bank at one point. They had in the Weimar Republic, they actually had the same problem. They created money so much that it became, there's like pictures of Germans wheelbarrowing, what do they call them, the republics or whatever the dollar was there.
Deutschmarks?
No, not that time. Whatever under the Weimar Republic.
I think Base Minnesota might be hinting at the Rothschild stuff.
And go on, elaborate, please.
No, I don't think I will.
All right. Yeah, they could just use razzle dazzle. They could just use the Dominion machines to get rid of Biden. Would that be really funny?
They rigged the primary against him.
All the Democrats. Oh, that'd be so funny.
Didn't they win
Democrats
the
who
lawsuit?
say conspiracy Dominion machines, and they go, all Democrats will prove it. All Democrat primaries will use Dominion machines, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know who they would set up, but it's like Biden takes 20%. They'll be like, wait a second. I don't know if these are true. Got a confusing narrative now. All right. No, I'm not taking the bait, Roxy.
Yeah, there's a lot of new.
Wait, what's...
She wants to go in a target. J conspiracy just means, what does that say? Base Minnesota?
Just means a secret plan by a group of people to do something unlawful or harmful. You act like it's such a far-fetched to be
Well,
word.
that's a great point. Conspiracy just means it's multiple people conspiring, right? So quite frankly, and by the way, all of us conspiracy theorists were right about COVID, right? All those things we said came to be true. Just saying, right, Mark? Is Mark still here? Anyhow, make sure if you haven't liked this episode, like it. Tells more people on the platform to follow this video. I think they'll learn something here today. If they stick around for this wild journey. Dawson, we've already lost Dawson. Tomorrow we'll be back with our, what are we going to call it? Our reaction to Ben Shapiro's Barbie review.
Yeah, it's for even people that don't like the Barbie movie. It's going to be like a multifaceted content sort of thing. It's going to be interesting. You should watch.
I don't know.
We haven't even done it yet.
I don't know because we haven't done it yet. I don't know if it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be live.
We're not going to publish it if we don't think it's interesting.
Yeah, you're selling a good video here, Jake.
It's gonna be amazing. Best thing you've ever seen.
A lot of people are telling me it's the best Barbie review out there.
It's probably the best Barbie review I've ever seen. Warren, thank you for joining us. We'll have to have you back again.
Me.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Next alien episode, we'll bring in the next one.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Bridget, for reading the comments.
You're very welcome.
Do
William,
I get a thank you?
Awesome. Deep State Dawson, thank you very much. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Tuesday. Take care. Have a good weekend.